Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, where you will find interesting guests and discussions about cutting-edge topics to assist you on your journey. The Quantum Guide Show is ideally suited to the newly awakened and for those who feel isolated by their newfound beliefs. The mind, body, and spirit thrive when we have a mission, and there is no greater mission than to become the change that we wish to see in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, and Telegram channels, and share this show with your friends. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 90, I am pleased to introduce you to my first-time guest, Paul Knight of the What the Flock TV channel. Paul considers himself to be an outcast in an outcast community where he looks at all things objectively and without any prejudice. I just want to add too, before I bring him on, that I'm a big fan of spelltomology, which is another area that Paul covers. Well, it's kind of all integrated. But when I had my spiritual awakening, that was one of the first things my guides told me to do, was to start looking up words. What did they mean besides what everyone thinks they mean? Where did they come from? When did they come into existence? So that I could get an understanding of how words are spells, and spells move energy and create outcomes. So I don't want to say too much about it because the show is all about Paul. But Paul, thank you for coming and welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me on. I'll try and speak a bit louder. I do talk a bit low until I get excited about a topic, and then I start talking quick. So I'm just glad to have you. You've asked me to come on a few times, and I've been a bit busy, and I'm just appreciate that you asked me again, and I keep you in my mind. And I thought, you know what, I'll send Karen a little message, and here we are. And I appreciate you taking the time to have me on your channel, and hopefully we'll meet some new friends in the chat as well. So it's all good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just thrilled to bits to have you on. When I was, doing sort of an etymology of the words that I was commonly using, I didn't go that deep down the rabbit hole, but I do it all the time. Like recently, I looked up the word nostalgia, and I realized how the word nostalgia and the concept attached to it was actually holding me back, because I have all kinds of things that I need to get rid of that don't serve me anymore, and I don't need to be nostalgic anymore. That's just an example of how I still look up words today, but you've gone deep down the rabbit hole. And as far as I'm concerned, you're my go-to guy for etymology. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But do you want to tell people, I'm hoping we're going to talk a little bit about the word toroidal today. That's the most amazing discovery that you've had. In fact, I saw you talking about it, I think, on Ryder's show, Ryder Lee, who's also part of the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. And but then I went and watched your podcast about it, part 1. And it blew me away how I feel intuitively, absolutely right on you are. So do you want to talk a little bit about, for the viewers who aren't familiar with your work, do you want to talk a little bit about spelltomology?
Don't worry about it.
And anything else you want to say? We're just very happy to be able to have your presence here today.
Firstly, you've got to have the humor. Some people would get butt hurt, as they say, over there. I don't. It's humor. Humor is the key. You got to laugh. This reality, this realm that we live in, is so harsh to us, so negative. So we need to have a good laugh when we can, anything possible. So yeah, the topic of spell etymology is the fact that obviously when you want to find the origins of words, it's called etymology. But when you start looking into what society calls off the grid or conspiracy or anything type that, society label what we look into, we know it words are spells. So when I was growing up, I used to have problems reading, and it wasn't really diagnosed till even late on that I've got dyslexia. So I've always had problems with reading, but my mind is sharp as a button, as they say, and I like to see things a little bit different. And I'm that kind of person where I try and show people, like when I make a video, I will say, this is this, but it's just information that I've found for the topic. I'm not like 100% sold on the idea, because you have to reserve the fact that you're constantly learning. So your opinions and your perspective on life will constantly change. Doesn't matter if we're moving forwards or backwards, just as long as you're moving, because then we're painting the picture. This reality becomes more and more clear. So we know words are spells. So I thought, I'm going to start looking at words, because I've always been intrigued by words, because obviously I can't spell them. So I've had to look at words, and well, that doesn't look like how you say it. Why is that? And you're asking people, and they're like, well, I don't really know why that word is used for that, and why word is used for this, in some words. So I wanted to create a series on etymology, but called Spell Etymology. So I don't look for words. It's like, for instance, you could be talking to me today, and you'll say one word, and it'll stick in my head later on, and I'll think, you know what, let me have a look at that word. So that's what happens. I let things come to me, and then I split it up maybe into half or 3 or 4 times. And I always say, as you know, you'll watch them, don't take my word as fact. It's not. It's just an opinion on what I found and my interpretation. Remember, this realm is all about us learning a different perspective. So when you find a book and it says A, who says is A? Because it basically, the A came from like a bull or an ox shape in Egyptian times. So it was originally a bull, and then it got changed when it went into Egyptian to Phoenician, and and then to Greek, and it was like A for alpha. But in ancient times, it was Aleph. You know what I mean? So you can see how things change from just one perspective to a culture to culture. Who says that word is what is supposed to be said? It can be anything. When we're on a unique path together, if I say something to you and it makes you so profound, to someone else it could sound gobbledygook, or that guy, what's he talking about? He has no clue. And people do regularly tell me I have no clue. I've got I'm an idiot, and I'm possessed. You name it, people say it. And the reason they say it is because they don't want you to be open-minded and respect someone else's opinion. Remember, they want to mind control you, just like the cabal or evil who want to control your mind. So do people in the community. They want you to think, well, is that's the spell, and that's what it means. It doesn't, because it all has true different meanings. We're all, our skeleton's like 65% crystal, so it's oscillating. So we all have a unique frequency, and obviously we'll get into that a bit later. So if each word has a profound effect on certain people, some words have more profound effects on others. And that is a coming video that I'm working on now, that even though you know these things, when you start putting together with other videos, you have a profound thing, and you're like, what really does that? And you get excited. I get the chills. I get emotional, because it feels like I'm learning something new for the first time. And that's why I look at the spell etymology videos in that way, because how could I possibly break a word down into 3? And like I said, we'll talk about toroidal in a minute. How can I break a word down that means something so profound and relates to the topic I'm looking at? That can't be a coincidence. And that's the beauty of it. When you look at words, don't take my word for it. You look at the word, you break it down, you change it into various different languages, and you'll find something profound. And it's hidden. Words are hidden. The spells are hidden within spells. And that's the beauty of it. And you feel so like, what's the word? Excited. You like a little kid at Christmas when you was little and you used to get presents and rip them open. You that first when you wake up, that's what you get when you research on a regular basis. You should get that excitement when you find something. You could be feeling down with life. Life is hard, and then something connects, and you feel like you've just been given a gentle push to look into that topic, and it is profound. And that's what I really love doing. And that's what I found with the spell etymology videos. You know what I mean? Looking into words and not taking society's word for it. So what that, if I get this book here and it says that word is that, these books have authors. He wrote it, he based his own perspective on something else. Now, was he told a lie? Was he drunk? Was he on drugs? Was he paid to say that agenda? Just because it's in a book does not mean it's fact. It just means it's that perspective of the author. And this is what this reality is. People are taking other books as proof as that's fact. Well, what happens if that book says spells or not spells and it's like lollipops, and that book says no, it's the devil's work and this? And who is the judge to say which word is the right meaning? There's no one. And that's the beauty of it when you're looking into these words. It's not just you're looking at it for you to help you better get through this reality. And I believe I am onto something with these words, because they're so profound when you break them down, and the meaning, the hidden meanings in it. As you know, when we'll talk about toroidal, you're like, wow.
Yeah, totally. It was blowing my mind. I just want to throw a couple things out there for the viewers. Most people, or I shouldn't say most, many people are familiar with Dr. Dr. Amar. Oh, I can't say his name. The guy that did took water glasses with water.
Emoto.
Thank you, Dr. Emoto. I don't know why it just left my brain. Anyway, and he put words on it, and then he froze a bit of the water, and he took a look at the crystals. So a lot of our viewers are familiar with that, and that's along the same lines as to what you were talking about. Where I see a big problem with language today is that it's being weaponized and it's being propagandized to fool us. And so it's much like that book 1984 where they talk about doublespeak. So for instance, there is a medical industry that they call a healthcare industry. It has nothing to do with healthcare. It's a lie. So they've twisted the meaning of words, the same as there used to be a justice system. They call it a justice system. No, it's not. It's a legal system. And so these are some of the things that my guides have prompted me to look into, to understand that the world, that's part of what these spells create, the matrix that we're living in. And when we stop using them or use the right word to describe what we're experiencing, I think that it actually helps to weaken the house of cards, which is the construct or the matrix as I see it. Yeah. And so I just wanted to throw that out there for the viewers. And I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Paul.
You're not interrupting. This is what I like, the back and forth. When you're just talking about the medical industry, have you watched my video on, it's hard to remember because, you know, we have so many ideas in our head and once we get it out, but I've done a video called The Caduceus.
I saw it. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. It's on my watch list. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah, you watch it. It's wow. But basically, I'll quickly go over the main thing is obviously the caduceus, and then you have the rod of Asclepius, which was supposedly the one stick, the serpent, for medical, the medical for doctors and that. And then you have a caduceus, which is two. Now, obviously, Ryder's done a bit on this, but if you think about it, when I looked into it, the etymology of it, when I was looking into it, the caduceus is more about commerce and business. So when you're seeing the two snake, that hospital is more a business than, medical for your purposes. And people don't realize that the oath that they take to Apollo, which is Janos, who I obviously research a lot,
Mm-hmm.
they could basically poison, kill, and do what they basically wanted. There's basically the oath was just to keep what their skills were in, to looking after each other, pass that trade on and forth. So it's intriguing when you look at it a little bit different. Again, just my perspective on these videos. It's not to be taken as fact, because this reality, like you just said, it is a con in essence. You know what I mean? I believe the truth has been weaponized.
Mm-hmm.
And again, more spell etymology for you guys that's listening. You look at the word truth, Truth. You are smack bang in the middle of the word truth. That's why it's personal. That's why when you believe it to be true and someone basically calls or ridicules your truth, you have an automatic reaction called trigger. That is the spell. Basically, when you drink and it goes through your kidneys and livers, it's like when you're feeling drunk, that's basically the byproduct of drinking. It's a poison being flushed out your system. This is the same with a spell. You're having a triggering an emotional response to a word because it goes against your truth. That's why the truth is personal. That's why the perspective on this reality is so vast. How can this reality have so many different values to what it is or what it could be and how life is? Because it's you're the common denominator in everything. And obviously we'll get into that later. So when you got the truth, you're in it. But what also the truth has in its word is R-U-T, of rut, which means a trap, which means a hole. And that's why you always talk about people as being, they're looking into that one topic and they fell into it, and then they refuse to look at any other truth because they believe this is the one truth. They fell into the rut of the truth, not realizing it's personal. And that's why it affects us so deeply, because we all have profound, when you believe something to be so true and someone who you think is a friend, and that's why we have a lot of arguments in the community. People are so invested in that truth. When someone attacks it or says something that goes against that grain, it hurts, because you is in the middle of it. That's why it's personal. And that's the also beauty of words and spells. They've taught us all to learn English or Anglish, which is, I found, as I was saying last week on another video, that in one of the ancient European dialects, it means a nightmare or a succubus and an incubus. So it's like sucking the life. It seems to be a lot of English. That's why they want us to know what all these English words mean. Your dictionary inside your head, you can recreate the spell in your head, thus incanting. And that's why trolls have an effect on people. 99 brilliant comments, that one negative comment can ruin your day, because the spell has been you've spelled it out into yourself, and it's lodged in your system, and it's hard to get out of that. And that's, again, the downside of words.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. That's just a great explanation. And I think that's also why it's important for us to find and speak our own truth. Now, you and I've had conversations before about how I basically got to the point where I realized my beliefs were holding me back, because a lot of beliefs are what you might consider being dogmatic. And I realized that instead I needed to replace them with working theories. And a working theory, as information comes in, I can shift my working theory. So if somebody is criticizing me in any way, but even if I get a reaction, I spend some time going, why am I triggered by this? What about it is affecting me? And maybe I need to adjust a little bit too, because I guess they're speaking from their truth. I don't have to buy it all, but I just find that a working theory is a better model for me. And so it means I kind of don't know anything, but I kind of know everything kind of all at once. And as the data comes in, I can adjust. So because so much is happening so fast on planet Earth right now. Oh my goodness, there's never been so much information for us to glean through. And I love to learn, and I don't mind being wrong. I'd rather be happy than be right. That's my little saying, because being right is so subjective. Everything depends on context, point of view, which could include perspective, as we've talked before about. Anyway, so but it's just really fascinating, the work that you do, Paul, and I really, really appreciate it. And sometimes when I'm watching you, whether it's your show or you're working with somebody else on their show, it just blows my mind. Like the whole toroidal field concept, it not only blew my mind, but it intuitively felt right. It just felt right. And I thought, it's amazing how many people go to church and so few people rely on the Holy Spirit. They don't seem to even believe in it or recognize how it's manifesting in their life. So anyway, I don't want to take away from your presentation. And by the way, feel free to screen share if you'd like to. That's not a problem. But I just wanted to throw my 2 cents worth in there.
No, that's a good introduction. Saves me, you hearing a different perspective on a similar topic is always good. And you're talking about like the toroidal field, and we've always talked about it. Everyone always in the community it's a given. Oh yes, we have a torus field, we have a toroidal field. The earth is one big huge toroidal field.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do various videos, because like I said, I've been in this for about 3 years, 4 years, something like that. I've always been a thinker like I am now. It's a case of I always look at things a little bit different. I mean, I'm not scared about saying what I believe in. Like at the age of 12 in school, I got up in front of the class. I was talking about where and what Atlantis is. I've never been scared for it. I don't see when I do a topic and people get really, really aggravated or really troll. I always say about why, because I just don't get it. We can be as smart, and I don't believe I'm smart. I don't believe anyone's smart. I believe we're all at the same level. It's just the access to these thoughts and memories, which define different people. And I was looking at an old video a few weeks before I made the toroidal field video, and it was talking about, and I forgot I did it, to be honest. I will hold my hand up. I'm like, when did I do this? It's me. So I forgot that I did it, and it was talking about like the word for truth, like we've just been talking about in Hebrew, is emit. Now emit backwards is time. Now people are always saying time is a man-made construct. I've said it in my videos and not thought about what it is. Time is sure, a clock is a man-made construct that we see on a wall, or we have on our wrists, and we have on our phones, because the calendar's been changed so much. Time's been changed so much, but we do age. So I was thinking about the truth, and these vessels that we're in do age. Why do they age? And that's what got me onto the toroidal field. I'm thinking, what thing is a common denominator between us and individuals, life, animals? It has to be the torus field.
Mm-hmm.
And because people, for instance, you people listening today, hello by the way, is the fact that I look into a god called Janos, who the Cabal worship. Now he's a god of doorways, portals, amongst many other things. He was the first pope. People will know him as Noah. People will know him as Metatron, or like the things, the messengers. It's a vast thing. Now in German, because he's obviously the god of doorways, a doorway or a gateway in German is Tor, Tor. So that intrigued me straight away, because I look into God of Doorways a lot, and I don't know if you saw any of those videos yet. So straight away, the first 3 letters out of toroidal mean doorway or gateway or portal. Surely at your intriguedness, or your interest in this topic, oh wow, he's talking about doorways and portals here. Wow, And that's just the first three letters, because when we looked at the word toroidal, T-O-R, then O-I-D and A-L. Now, I split it up into three because I like to think, well, what would it be in Latin, or what would it be in Hebrew, or what would it be in such, because a lot of the intriguing things happen in English, happen in Latin. Now, Latin, as people know, is supposedly, I have no proof, is that demons use it, angels use it. We saw it in all videos and films. Now, Latin comes from Latium. Who was the god of Latium but Janos? So that is all why it intrigued me looking into all these things. So we've broken the word down into three: tor, oid, al. And people know about the toroidal field, and we know about the doorway and portals and that the first three letters. But then I looked at the word OID. I'm thinking, how can you find anything interesting in the word OID, Paul? And was I knocked back? So OID means form, shape, or essence. How wow was that? So you've got doorway, portals, you've got essence, your form, how you are. Remember, I like looking at the Bible and looking for reference points and looking at a different perspective. I don't know it word for word. I don't pretend to be, but there's some intriguing things in here. I found the word for toroidal field in the Bible. And I got that by looking at a Greek word called eidos, which is basically the toroidal field, but it appears in the Bible as the Holy Spirit. So we're talking about spirit, essence. Wow, could the toroidal field be the Holy Spirit that they're saying in the Bible? Now, I got to that point and I was thinking, I automatically recognized, this is how my brain works, that OID, straight away I went, that's DIO backwards, reversed. And I was thinking to myself, could DIO be anything? And boy, again, I was knocked back. DIO is divine or heavenly. Wow, so you have in two parts of toroidal, toroid, you have doorway, gateway, portal, form, shape, essence, heavenly, divine. Are we not all divine? Is that the Holy Spirit, the toroidal field, creating that power? Is that our soul? Is it just, science people will look at electromagnetism. So is this? And obviously, the last bit, AL, is EL, something godly, divine God. So you're looking at the word, you have to just go, wow, everything in a toroidal field is talking about divine, heavenly, essence, form, shape. We're talking about manifestation just before, even at the beginning and, before we came on. What was it says in the Bible? You have, is it John 1:1? It talks about the waters above by the waters below, and he created the void. Void contains OID. Void is supposed to be empty, but it's not. It's a form, it's essence, and it's a shape. So you're looking at things and you just go, wow, did I find that? Who else has found that? Because we all share memories and thoughts, and we all put things together. Some of us put them together quickly. Some people will put them even quickly than me. You know what I mean? And that's just the intriguing thing, because we talk about the toroidal field as being just, electromagnetism from the heart, and it comes out like this, and there's nothing really to it. And, people always put it down as a hippie thing or that. But we're talking about it possibly could be the Holy Spirit, and what powers you. It's your force field. Star Wars geeks in the house use the Force. You listen to when they talk about the Force in the films. It's your toroidal field. See, I get excited. I'll have a breath. I'll let you talk.
Oh, no, that's amazing. It's really, really good stuff. I'm a bit of a weirdo, and I do things that, as far as I know, other people don't do, but maybe they do. And I started working with my toroidal field about 5 years ago to create a shield for myself And I went, well, I don't want to make a shield that I have to lug around in the 3-dimensional. So I created it in the 5th dimensional, because that way it's not, doesn't encumber my physical body. But the reason I created it was as a response to the electromagnetic frequencies that are coming from the cell phones and the computers and God knows where. And so what I did was I just built this shield as part of my toroidal field. I mean, why not? I think we're great creative beings. We just been taught we're not. And I think, why not? Why not do it? Can't hurt me. So I've been working on strengthening it every year, and I programmed it that every time I go outside, it upgrades. And it lets in everything I need, like the good kind of frequencies from the universe or from the sun. And it blocks out or repels anything that's not good for me. And it also works for being around people who I'm not comfortable being around. Anyway, so I have this field, and I actually made a few podcasts about it. And I probably sound like I'm stark raving mad, but it sort of ties into what you're saying, Paul, that if we all have a toroidal field, or we wouldn't be walking around as live people. Why not embrace it? And as you've mentioned, it's kind of a God-given energy system, and it's a portal or a doorway that divine energy can come in and help us in our lives. So I created this, and I've been working on it all summer this year, actually. And I really believe that it makes a big difference. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about what I've just said.
Yeah. Now think about it, because I always talk about this in the video. I know you've watched the video. When you find something profound, it makes you feel special. It makes you feel closer. We all can believe who we believe in, the creator, a God, or whatever belief you have.
Mm-hmm.
We're all connected. For instance, I always believe there is a creator. That's just my personal opinion. But we're also a part of the creator. We're fellow creators. That's why we create offspring. But think about it in the sense of, you were talking about the toroidal and you made a video. You left a part of you, your essence, your field in the video, your frequency. When you make something, you always leave a piece of you behind. That's just how it is, because you love doing it. So when you're really positive and happy and people can see you smiling, even through a TV screen, you can make them feel so much better. If someone's shouting, screaming, swearing, it has the opposite effect. These screens that we're using now for things, they're scrying mirrors.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk more about that? Can you talk more about that, so that the viewers and myself understand more fully what that means? What are the implications?
Like I say, I'm no expert, and it's just my opinion. But we have, in the Victorian times, they were a lot into death, because obviously they do a lot of people were in black, like Victoria, Queen Victoria. So that became, they've been doing it for time immemorial, but that's when it really took off, looking at mirrors, because we know the films, Bloody Mary, Candyman, etc., looking in the mirror, saying the words, to use to even the new one on Netflix. I think it's about Club Midnight. Even in that contains a little bit about scrying, because they tell a mum is a healer, and they used to go to a pond or a lake to scry, to look into the future. And he said never scry in darkness, for a reason I can't remember, because it was in the video. But scrying is like looking into the future, so all that type of stuff, and looking into a different realm. Now, people don't realize we have our irises are black, so people don't even realize you're walking around with two scrying mirrors straight away in you. That's why we all see things differently. It's as really deep and spiritual as that. So if you think about it, that is called a mouse. When you move it, you move a little hand or a finger or an arrow, a cursor. These screens are scrying mirrors, but they're also Ouija boards. And when you start looking at it that way, you go, no, turn it off, or whatever. You know, I mean, some people are like this, but goodness, intent, in all about the intent. It's like what you said before. Sometimes you can be saying things, but if the goodness, like immortal, that's really works off intent, you know, because if you go in saying beautiful things to rice or water and you're going, oh, beautiful, there's no intent, there's no love there. You have to have the intent. We're walking wands. We're oscillating, giving off a frequency. There's a thing called the Baxter effect, where plants know and can read our minds. A scientific experiment, I don't know when it was done, put electrodes on plants and they give off like little thought patterns when people were walking towards them. So it's crazy that we're talking about things like this, and this reality is all about manifestation because we're in a void, and the void contains a form, a shape, and essence. It's all magic. Imagination contains magic. Magi's. So there's a lot of things in this reality that is evil, yes, because we're both good and evil. And again, each of us have a different perspective on what's good and evil. But you know, for instance, if I say to you, would you do that in that scenario? You wouldn't know till you're in the scenario, but it's like you said, it's the context of and the knowledge of it. It's not just that plain looking at something and thinking that person's attacking that person for what reason. And if you don't know the context, you would defend the person getting attacked. It's like a built in, but you don't know what they've done. They could have just massacred you. So there's a lot of things that, in regard to context, and it's got to do with this realm of spells. Now, we use these every day, and we all have a basic understanding of English, and that's the main. I found that the main thing with this realm works out for English, because I don't know if you've watched it yet. I have done a bite size on it, but I found through my research there was a great reset of mind, spirituality, everything, and it's called Great Vowel Shift. Vowels again,
I have seen that.
language. So if you split vowel up, it's vow, L. So they've changed the vowels to L. Why have they changed the vowels? And they've changed it to a specific deity who I research quite a lot. That's why he's in charge of the calends, which is the first day of every month, but the calendar is named after. People look into the zodiac. He stands over the zodiac. People talk about houses and different things. Houses, what do a house have? Doorways. There are thresholds. Who is another liminal god tied to Janos? And it's Hecate, Hex. So you can see the power of the spell and why it's important that we know what spells can do what damage, because sometimes we do speak without thinking. It's like a reaction, like a body memory, like a memory. Your body, for instance, remembers you doing certain aspects. That's why you can do things like drive and talk, and you can get from A to B without crashing if you're a decent driver, because your body remembers, and you can do one thing more at a time, and not on a phone, of course. But that is the type of thing that links with language. You have your vocal cords, vocal, VOC, voice, ALEL, God, voice of God. So when we start looking at breaking down words, and we're doing the spell etymology, and we're talking about being good to each other, it's because words are swords. You know what I mean? So, see, I even forgot what you said in the first place. I just go off on a tangent, but
that's all good. It's all
we
good,
have
Paul.
we just have to appreciate and understand that this word is spells. And when we're watching something and someone like, oh, I don't like that, and they have to comment and have to put that person down, think, because we've all done it. Everyone have done it once in their life. You have to hold your hand up. Even I, younger, I've done that, and then I've realised when I got older, Paul, you shouldn't have done that, because the power of words, and it has an effect on people. And why would you wish something evil on someone just by making a video? And that's the thing that we all have to talk about.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And I would carry that into, I have a program, a free program. You can see it here on the screen, Quantum Health Transformation. I got that information in a download. It took me about 2 years to process it and put it into very common English that anybody could benefit from. You didn't have to be of a particular religion or way of thinking or anything like that. But part of it is how to deconstruct or how to detoxify from the construct. And in it, there's a part of the lesson is that people often do what I would call bad spell casting without even realizing it. An example of that would be gossip and rumors. So if we've got a bit of a jealousy or a negative intention, and we start talking bad about somebody else, we're actually affecting the social reality, the whole I don't know, milieu of where we live and operate. We're actually affecting people. We're causing harm by gossiping and telling rumors. And the opposite to that would be, when we pray for someone or we encourage them or we send them loving thoughts or healing energy. That's an example to how to positively cast spells. So if we have this amazing ability and talent and gift of creation, why not be really mindful of the words we're using, how we share information with other people? The other thing I wanted to say too, Paul, is that when we're doing a show, it's not just you and I feel there's also another force that sometimes will trigger us to think, to say something that maybe we didn't even realize. Sometimes I have to watch the show after to see what I even said, because we're kind of got that. So when we have that nice open spirit of cooperation with our Taurus field or with the field, I think that it really can, I don't know, it makes everything possible. And that's what I get excited about.
Do you know why it makes everything possible? Because if you remember from the video, when we learn something new or we've been nice to each other, which is a common courtesy, but it's just natural, you feel a glow inside of you. Your toroidal field gets more powerful, more stronger. Amplifies this realm of manifestation and spells. Think about when you see all these cartoons and things, for instance. I don't know if you've watched it. It's called Avatar, and it's about it's not about the blue ones. I've done videos on that. This is about,
you're talking about the airbender.
Yeah, the airbender, the last airbender.
Yeah.
Think about it, controlling the elements through his through the spirit. Think about it. If we can amplify the toroidal field to be so powerful, which we can, just because we can't see it with the naked eye does not mean it's there. And then you cast a spell. For instance, have you ever seen the series called Preacher?
No, I don't think so.
Well, he has the power of Genesis in his mouth. So basically, he'll say anything, and people are compelled to do it. But that's the power of the vocal cords. We're all capable of doing things. How many times has someone talked you into something, and you're like, how did my friend get me to do that? Do you know what I mean? It's a weird amplification. So if we're sitting here and we're having them aha moments, I believe, and I can't say too much because the next video will explain, is the fact that I've done many videos. You can go back on the old stuff, and I was talking about how consciousness, memories, everything is kept around us in the waters above, right? Which are waters above and waters below. Now, I was talking to Ryder. Look at the word water. If everything is a reflection, look at the letter W. You turn that upside down, it's matter. Matter means mother. So straight away, the waters all around us are mother. Mother Earth, you can say whatever name you want for it. But if we're in a realm, if we're in a void, which still has essence, and we can create and manifest things in this void, for instance, like a Star Trek holosuite.
Yes.
We're in this realm, and the power of the voice, the power of the thought, are able to manifest things. And if you have a field around you that can generate and amplify that power so much, you're onto something good. How many times have You walked into a room, or I've walked into a room, and your friend is just standing there talking to friends, and they look around and they smile, and you get, it makes you feel really good. That smile, that positive input of just a smile has an effect on you. You can feel it. They always say, when people are pregnant, you have a lovely glow about you.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel it. Hence, opposite way around, when you're negative, evil, you've gone into a room, people have been arguing, and they're watching the TV or they're reading a book, and you think, come on, who's been arguing and shouting? Because you can feel it. You can feel the vibrations that they're giving off. Doesn't matter if they're smiling, the energy field will be pushing out negativity because they've just been in a bad situation. So these things that we're doing today, talking face to face and people listening at home, will get an epiphany moment because it's come from, you can call it source, creator, God, you name it. Is it the Kasich or the catchy record? There's so many different names for it. And in this reality where we're polluted by 5G, polluted by chemicals, we have a digital atmosphere, which is stopping that connection. And also we're also downloading things from the digital realm, which is altering memories and thoughts. I don't know if you've watched an old video. I don't know how much you've watched my content. And this correlates to what we were talking about, like manifestation spells and different things and downloading. Have you ever stood in the room, wherever you are now, thought, I'm just going to go to the fridge, I'm just going to go into the pantry, or I'm just going to go next door, walk through the door, and what you've gone in to do is completely gone out your head? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, I'm 66 years old. It happens a lot.
Well, if I could tell you, that is now a scientific fact, and it has a name, and it's called the doorway effect. Now, I've done so many videos, and I'm going to might touch on this again in the upcoming video I'm doing, but every time you walk through a doorway, it's not just spiritual energy, but also obviously it's this realm, that connection from your thoughts to the waters above, or source, or the download, whatever you want to call it. You're walking through a doorway that breaks that connection for a split second, and that's why you forget. Harvard, MIT, all these people, you can say, oh, they don't know what they're on about, but they've talked about how it's called the doorway effect. And then you think to yourself, doorways, portals, torus field is breaking that power of the toroidal field when we're walking through a door. Who's the god of doorways and portals again? And there we have it. Go back to Janos again. That's why I'm so intrigued by this, because he's the god of doorways and portals. You get married, and in the olden days, the husband used to carry his wife across the threshold. The threshold. That is another liminal god. And doorway. Doorways in Jewish faith, I forgot this Jewish name, but they have a thing like a prayer on the door. And you know what I mean? So all religions have symbols, etchings on doorways because they're powerful. People don't realize how powerful they are. You can call it feng shui, and it has to be a certain color and a certain way. Or every civilization will have doorways, and people have always put them down and not realized how it breaks for a split second the connection between whatever, if you believe in dimensions or the heavens above, but it's breaking that connection because we all have doorways in us. The occult name for the pineal is called, you got it, Janos. Not my words, their words. Why is a pineal called that? Because it's a doorway or portal. Everyone can agree on that. So them, whoever wants to be labelled, have said it's that. Is that a power behind the toroidal field? Is it your soul? Is it both? Everything is up for debate. Everything is up for to look into. And then you start looking at certain verses in the Bibles talking about how the Holy Spirit is sealed with us at our birth. Huh? So it's talking about sealing the Holy Spirit onto this vessel. That's got to be wow, hasn't it? I mean, we're talking about time and this reality. We do age, unfortunately. We do get a grey hair. We do get our shape changed because everything is around us. All memories, the effect, the energy of time is all around us. What makes you not age as better or worse than me or anyone that's listening at home?
Mm-hmm.
Surely it's a toroidal field. If you have a good Taurus field, that is making your vessel inside safer, more happier, and looking younger. Surely that must be common sense. But you know what I mean?
Oh, yes, I do. And I also see how there's so many forces out there that want to basically shut us down energetically. So earlier I mentioned electromagnetic frequencies, and I find I spend way too much screen time. If it's not on the computer, it's on my cell phone. And if it's not on that, it's on my big flat screen TV, and, and on it goes. And but I've been very lucky in a way that I'm very sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies, so that alerts me. But I've been spending the last 4 months, I've been spending time every day on a lounge chair out in the direct sunlight, just feeding on the beautiful codes and energies that are coming in, and building up some vitamin D, and just relaxing. My cat will come and bug me, and she always wants me to do her bidding all the time. And she'll come and bug me, and I'll go, no, not now. Granny's working. And here I am lying in a lawn chair out in the sun. But I have, as I mentioned before, this shield that I reinforced and created that actually has done an amazing job at protecting my health. So anyway, but there's so many things that affect our toroidal field. Obviously, words affect us, energies affect us, but even the way people eat and the way people have their lifestyles. I found that in my own life, and this is just my truth, that I really had to change what I ate so that I could give my physical form, which I consider my temple, and so that I could hold the frequencies to continue to have even more sort of spiritual experiences that I think we all have a right to have. It's not like Karen's special and so she gets this. Not at all. I'm just a total schlep like everybody else. But I use the portal of my imagination quite effectively and quite regularly. So not saying that makes me better or anything like that. It's just that I've had some amazing experiences. I have 4 tried and true methods of manifesting pretty much anything I want. I don't always use them because sometimes I don't know what's best for me. I have to leave that for my circumstances to unfold what the next lesson is. So I don't want to be too bossy with it, but I'm actually going to be doing a show on Chris Matthews' Forbidden Knowledge News on Halloween. And I'm going to talk about those 4 tried and true methods. So super easy. So I think the really important thing here, Paul, that you and I are both trying to bring out for our viewers is how powerful we are, and how examining our habits or maybe our shadow side is a good idea to get a handle on how we are affecting not just our own field, but the fields of other people. And then there's also, I believe, a community field as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of levels to these fields. Anyway, I'm just wondering if you have anything you want to say about that. Check out my website and find many valuable resources. There's the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation. This is a free, comprehensive online course. Learn about detoxification and nutrition, grounding and spiritual practices, and an advanced version of the Law of Attraction, giving you more of what you really want out of life. I also have my Zendomes Orgonite, which is my unique brand of orgone generators. They're ethically sourced and handmade by a friend of mine, and they're double charged for maximum effect. I also carry comfort crystals, which is a limited collection of energetically infused semi-precious stones. I have an array of vital services, so you can get the one-on-one support that you've been looking for. Also coaching, guidance, and I do assessments and also workshops. And then again, there are the many free resources available on my website. Wisdom to assist with energetic ascension into physical, mental, and spiritual paradise. Let us share our quantum work with you. It's your turn to heal, evolve, and thrive. Believe in your ability to succeed. Now, let's get back to the show.
Well, don't worry about it. I like listening to different perspectives. Yeah, people always think about me, and we all have to be honest. We all do. So, and what we have to do is just understand that there's nothing wrong with that, because if you want to help other people, you have to help yourself first. You can't go around saying this, this, and this if you're doing the complete opposite. We have an individual field. We have a field of whatever you believe we live in, and we also have a common field, community field that you was just talking about it, and that is the one that affects a lot of people more. Now, people talk about the Schumann resonance.
Yes.
It contains a hue. Now, I'm no expert, and I don't pretend to be, but think about it. I've been saying for years that the Schumann resonance is us. And people are looking at it, it's Mother Earth, it's the frequency of the Earth. I believe it's the frequency of all people. And when that spikes, that's why people feel off, because you can be a hermit and you don't interact with people, but you do need that love and interaction occasionally with fellow humans. I believe that's the type of personality that we are. We like to share. We all like meeting new people. We love, all that malarkey. So if that energy is being attacked, it's easily passed on. Now, people talk about viruses, right? And I can't say too much because obviously we don't get to go, but I look at it a different way. Not virus, via us. Everything is passed on individually by us through fields, through the food, through the water, everything. And that's what they do. They try and chip away at your shield to make you that weak, that a signal, a frequency of negativity, whether it's the cold, the flu, or something, because it's all frequency and vibrations. And that's what I believe that type of thing is. It attacks your field and lowers your frequency, making you basically feel down and run, etc. And because it's a world of manifestation, you can manifest. How many times has someone said something to you and they're not feeling too well, and next day you're feeling a bit off because you've been thinking about them being unwell, and that negativity of being them unwell has affected you, because we're in this void like we was talking about before. So the positive, we don't have to be walking around smiling, grinning into it. Yeah, peace, love, everyone, because that's a bit too overboard. We need a balance. We can't appreciate the good if we never experience the bad. That's why we're put in this realm of manifestation, not just unfortunately we can manifest bad things. Doesn't mean we're doing it on purpose, but if there's an outside source controlling, it's all about the content. It's all about, for instance, like abracadabra. I create what I speak, and then it's very, very much like abracadabra, which means I destroy what I speak. Next video you will love. And this is basically what it is. We're that powerful. We can create things and we can destroy things. So that's why the entity, whatever you want to call it, or evil, or I say evil is a frequency, just like love. It has an effect on these oscillating ones. But think about it. If whoever's got a controlling interest, you can call them the Kabbalah or whatever you want to call them, or whatever you want to call them, the New World Order, and everyone's got a different label. If they control X amount of population, people say, well, they're just NPCs, it doesn't matter. It still has a knock-on effect, because if them people have a Taurus field, doesn't matter if it's weak, If they're all, in that video, that's why I was talking about positive negativity on our fields. We have a switch, takes time off us, life plus more years, because we're eating healthier, we're looking after ourselves, more happier. Bang, let's press the plus. Our field gets stronger and we live a bit longer. If they get too many people banging on the negative, weakening the field, it's weakening that common field that we all share together as being humans. So it's a really clever plan. Get rid of X amount of population and negativity, and it spreads like fear. It's a signal. People can talk about dogs and animals can smell fear. Humans can feel it. You can feel it. That's why you have the fight or flight reflex. If something happens and you startle you either run or you fight. We have a subconscious to that as well. So you either fight inside, or it will go around your field and grab its talons in and start to weaken your field, which will have an effect because it's a doorway. Remember, you can let things in. It's hard to, turn the key. It's like the verse in the Bible. It's in Revelation. Behold, I have set before you an open door which no man can shut. But does that mention women? Does that mention evil? But you can see the point. The Creator has opened up a door for you, and your Holy Spirit, which is another word for the toroidal field, is what helps you navigate through other doors and life. So if you can control the plus and the minus in this electromagnetism world, it has an effect. If you turn the frequency to so negative, doesn't matter if we're positive. You do need, for instance, if you was a torch, and it doesn't matter how strong and how bright you are, you go out in the darkness, it's just one light. And you can only see so much. So it's hard and you feel it, engulfed. Let's get another torch. Me with you. 2 torches, you can see more. Say what, guys? You come and join us. So if everyone starts being more positive, but not in a cheesy way, and happy and showing a bit more positivity, get the balance up, you're turning on more light, and it will reveal more that's hidden in this realm. Because we only can see so much. We only see 1% of the spectrum. That's what they say. You know what I mean? So if we all see a different 1%, or you might see 2%, a lady listening at home today might see 4%, and so on. All has an effect. We're powerful. They want us to think we are nothing. You can't do anything on your own. Well, I'm sure if you stood on a tack or a pin, that one little pin will have an effect on your foot. How many times have you stood on a Lego or a pin or a plug? These things have an effect. Doesn't matter how small they are. Look at a mosquito. Do you know what I mean? One mosquito in your net or around you has an effect. They don't want you to think that you have an effect. And that's the power of the mind controlling you. Government, mind control. Happens to us all. And that's why they try and stop this collective from being cohesive. Because we're always at loggerheads. That's why I call it the community, the community, because we're at loggerheads. We're not fitting cohesively. And you can fit, cohesively and disagree. That's just life. It's not about that. They're just making us attack, and attack while they get away with everything. Do it over there while the left hand does something over there. And that's what they're doing in this reality. That's why the spells work, negative spells work. And it's all connected, I believe, to the toroidal field, because that amplifies the power of the spell.
Oh, I agree 100%. Wow. There's so much we could talk about. I just want to remind the viewers that Paul's links will be in the description below. But before we say goodbye, Paul, why don't you tell the viewers a bit about some of the different series that you have created? So your TV channel is What the Flock TV on, I believe, on YouTube. But what are some of the series? You have one that has to do with, I believe, Beneath Las Vegas. You've got, do you tell us? Sorry, I'm not getting it right.
Oh, don't worry about it. So I have an eclectic mind. I pick things up, just like we all do. So I've spelt etymology, which looks at the words.
Mm-hmm.
I have a series which I do need to make more videos on, called Beneath the Neon, in the sense of
Beneath
looking
the
at
Neon.
looking at certain cities and finding what's hidden or occult, or what's intriguing things about these cities. I mean, so far I've done Las Vegas, I've done Rome, the Vatican, London, and so on, and a few things like that. And it's just looking at cities a little bit different, a different perspective than all these other big channels have. I've also got a series called The Realm of 11, which is 11, but L11. And this is why manifestation works, because it's the realm, it's so deep. Yet there's so many different things on it. There's the introduction to it, the basics here, and then I've done the genius ritual, which looks at the etymology of the word genius being demon and also man, and looking at Mensa and different organizations that are supposed to be for the high IQ, and that's intriguing. So I've got the realm of 11, and then I just have random videos, bite-sized videos that are some of my big videos that I've done, because I do get carried away and I do put too much information sometimes in a video. They can be an hour and a half to 2 hours, so people don't have enough time. So I've made them into bite-sized videos, just certain points. So there's a collective on there. And then there's obviously the Janus research, which, I'm not famed for, but, I'm well known for the research into Janos. Some big channels and different things will think there's nothing to it, but if you don't research it and don't look with fresh eyes, you never find it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of these words, looking at words again and looking at this realm in different eyes. And then you're looking at, like I said, I don't know everything about the Bible, but when I started doing my research for Janos and different things, I mean, people, if I said to you Baphomet, you've seen a lot of people talking about Baphomet, but Lucifer, all these names. What if I said all those names are Janos? Make it a little bit easy, wouldn't it? Remember, we're living in a world of frequency, vibration, right? Frequency. Change the last three words. Instead of, it says frequency key. Frequency key. Who holds the keys? Oh, the janitor. Janitor is named after Janos.
Interesting.
He's walking around with the keys. You ever watched a film called Bruce Almighty or Evan Almighty? Morgan Freeman is the god. What job's he doing? The janitor.
Yep.
And he has 2 pillars behind him, 11. He's also wearing a hat with New York, which is the 11th state in gematria. Janos adds up to 11. That's why I talk about the realm of 11, because it's Janos' number. It represents the doorway or 2 pillars or a post. Also, number 7 is half a doorway. So, you know what I mean? It's intriguing things like this. For instance, if I said to you, in that voice, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:1. 11. Or L11. Who written that? Oh, it was John. Did you guys know that John is a derivative of Janos? Gian. People who watch your videos could be well into giants. All that. Giants. Giant. T is past tense in the word. Take T away, you're left with Gian. Gian is Italian for John and Janos. Janos was also a giant. Is that where they got the word from? He's their god. He's the Cabal. They say they worship him before any other god. Now you have to think about it in that way. People talk about this is a computer simulation. It's AI. Janos's oldest name is IA. IA, AI. In Greek, it's number 11. So these are what these videos are about. It's finding things all relate to this entity, and it just makes you think. Like I said to everyone, don't believe me. These are just theories, thoughts, and what I've researched, and it all comes into one reality. For instance, I just read out that verse from Revelation. Before you, I set upon you an open door which no man can shut. Revelation 3:8. 3 and 8 is
11.
Oh yeah, 11. Then people think, I'll ask a question because I didn't know. I got this wrong before I researched. How many commandments were there? 10.
Well, I think, yeah.
That's what they say. 10 commandments. But there was actually
11.
They actually moved 2 and molded them and meshed them into 1. So they lost 1. So it became 10. So this is why I look at this topic of Janos, because he goes by many names. He also goes by the name of Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, because he's linked to time. He's also, remember, the alphabet, Aleph, the beginning and the end. He looks at the beginning of time and the end of time. So this is why the intriguing thing is of this entity and what they worship. And he's linked to AI. He's linked to so many things. You know what I mean? And that's what the beauty of the excitement is, because you're sharing your perspective. And just because, and you have to respect people sometimes can't see it. The amount of people who used to call me on it, you know what I mean? And now, like, Paul, now I've seen it. You've opened up a door. How many people on your channel and you talk about torus field, talk about the pineal gland, not realizing the pineal gland is called Janos and the torus field contains a door? Is that not a wow? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can see how, it encompasses so much this subject. And people talk about this being electromagnetic world, electric. Well, electric, splitting down in spell etymology, means this place is a jurisdiction of El. Wow. This place is a jurisdiction of El. That is ominous, but it's intriguing and it's exciting. So the word electrical means that. So if we don't look at things differently, and I get excited, but if there's not another person out there who doesn't get excited also and breaks down a word for themselves, revealing something that will change their life. I used to research a lot of things. And then one day I looked at Genoa, place in Italy, supposedly not significant. And that's where I found Janos. And my research went up. It went through the roof. We all have these intriguing things, and we're all on a path, and we have to go to so-called from A to B, a transition. Our life is full of transitions. Who's the god of transitions? Don't say it, Paul. Yes, Janos.
After watching I watched probably about 6 hours of presentation that you've done on Janos. After that, I started seeing it everywhere. The number 11 everywhere. I started seeing, the different root words or names that also mean Janos. I started seeing them everywhere, and it's quite a trip, actually. Because
it opens up different neural pathways, doorways.
Yes.
And like I said, it's, it would make you so much better. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I do it too. I don't mean
we
to.
just get excited, don't we? Go on, carry on.
Yeah, no. I I started seeing Janos everywhere. And then I remembered a woman I knew, and her son's name was Janos. And I
Yeah.
remember it because it was an unusual name. And I wondered, I wonder if she knows what she's, who she's named her son after. But it opens up new neural pathways. And, the thing is that for entertainment, a lot of us go to screens for our amusement or sports, which sometimes is screens too. But, real life, like just understanding this information or having an aha moment or, forming new neural pathways, you go out into the world and everything shifts slightly. Everything is a little different. You start seeing things you never did before. And actually being away from a screen is the big adventure for me. In fact, it's hard for me to be entertained. I like some YouTube channels like yours very much, but there's nothing like being outdoors and being even in the social reality and seeing it makes it a real trip. It makes it life a lot more interesting and exciting and richer.
Yeah. And that's one of the aspects of even the toroidal field, because that toroidal field is what the reality around us has to go through. So it has to go through. And is it refracting? Is it double refracting? Is it going straight into your eyes? So how you see this reality all depends on what your input is. It's like, as you were saying, you're watching a few comments and you're learning. I learn every day. And that changes the aspects of what I see. So if you don't learn and you're looking around this reality, you'll just see what everyone sees. Now, when you learn something new, and that's why we all say, how did I not see that? It's hidden in plain sight, because it's always there. It's just in a different phase of frequency. So when you learn something on the wand or your ham radio, as I call it, the antennas in your head, you learn, and that frequency is altering your toroidal field. So you're seeing more. It's giving you access. The creator is saying to you, you're learning more. That's why they control the knowledge, because knowledge is information. Knowledge is also gnosis. Ledge is part of the door. So it's controlling the gnosis, the light, the essence of the doorway. And when you learn, you get brighter and brighter and brighter. And it's that torch scenario again. The brighter you get, the more you can see. The more you can see, more reality looks so much different. How did I not see that? Because you just learned about it. The doorway has opened up and it's revealing what is there. Now people will think, as listen to this, well, I've opened the doorway and it's that, and then I've learned something else. Well, there's countless doors. Do you know what I mean? There's always doors, and that's why you're talking about different realities, different amount of doorways. Each reality has an archon, which is in charge of it, and arch or arche is Greek, and it comes from beginning, the word beginning. And we talked about that. In the beginning was the word. The word. They manifest the thought about the word first. Then that thought manifested, and the first spell spoke. The word. Isn't it funny that I don't know if I did it in the video that you've seen. I anagrammed the word. And I got D-O-W-R. Door, like someone from Boston. Door. But it is an actual word, an ancient word for door. So the word itself is the door. That's the spell. So that is the beauty of the power of this word. And my next video is looking a bit more deeper into that, because I've talked about the waters and different things, and Dr. Motos and different experiments, because everything is around us. And that's why I mentioned the doorway effect, because it's all connected. Everything is connected. We're connected to everything. And that's why when we learn something new, for instance, you learn something, I've learned something new from this, someone at home listening, you've learned something new. So watch it tomorrow, or as soon as you watch this video, you'll see reality a little bit different. Because we have given you the power through what we've learned, rightly or wrongly, doesn't matter. It's just knowledge. I always talk about is information. Treat everything you learn as information. That way you don't get triggered. All information. It's all there for us to use how we wish. Who said they wrote that first? Well, I'm sorry. this was written early in that. How can you prove it was written? I wasn't there. Oh, well, they've said so. Oh, okay. You can't take nothing for it because this reality is in chaos. But chaos doesn't have to be negative.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that is the positive, because I always look at chaos as just, mixing it up. You know what I mean? It's just giving it a mix. We have to mix it up. It's like hurricanes. What's the purpose of a hurricane? People say, oh, geoengineering. But think about it. The air we breathe has to be circulated. So it's basically like a ventilation system for this realm. It's just mixing the air up. So we're all connected to everything. So that's why we learn as much as we can. More you learn, more bright you get, more enlightened. That's why the word light is in it. Because light is sound, which is a frequency, because sound can create light. They're working on tech now to use sound to create holographic images. Sound can levitate. Sound can destroy. Because it's all part of a frequency, which is the base word for spells and manifestation.
Wow. It's a lot, but it's a really good subject. And it's a really good subject.
Everything.
Sorry,
look
what?
into everything. Just look.
Yes.
I advise people to look into anything. Don't take what you've said into you have to do this. Don't take what I say. Don't take any other, just because they've got so many views. No, it's information. Learn what feels right to you. And then go from there. You know what I mean? Sometimes don't play it safe, because sometimes we don't learn. But you know what I mean? We just experience life. Take everything as, advice from elders. Doesn't mean we're right. It just means we've been here longer. Do you know what I mean? And so on. And that's what we're here for our kids. We're here to show them, well, if you do that, it will have this repercussion. If you do it this way, it'll have that repercussion. Right? Well, what should I do, Dad? Or what should I do, Mum? Well, I can't give you advice. I can only show you, and you have to make your own mind up. And this is what we should be doing in the community, showing people, giving them options, giving them so many options, but sometimes too many can have a negative effect. But just be honest with people. If that happens, guys, this could happen. And this is what we have to do in this reality, is be positive, enjoy it. Firstly, we have to enjoy it, smile. And some people like yourselves or me or anyone else who has channels listening might have some really good advice, and it might not work, but what if it works? Is that not worth taking a little risk for?
Absolutely. Paul, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the Quantum Guide Show. I hope you'll come back sometime. I know you're super busy. I really encourage everybody to check out your YouTube channel called What the Flock TV. It'll be just below this video, but also it will be in the description below. Do you have any other links you want to let people know about, Paul, before we go? Or
no, like I said, I'm like you. I'm hard to get in contact with, because I'm not on any social media. Because what I found is, when you do need a connection to people, and we have to use their tools. Unfortunately, that's the way the world goes. We'd never have met you if I wasn't on social media, and that's the good side of it. But I'm on no social media, so I'm only on YouTube for my videos, and I'm on Messenger. It's how you got in contact with me. So yeah, just What the Flock TV. Just enjoy it, people. It's just a different perspective. Some videos you will like, some videos you might hate, and it's always a learning perspective. It's hard doing this. It really is hard, because I know you're talking to, but you see your little face and you're talking to you, and it's sometimes it's hard, because it's like you said, about doing it live and doing it pre-recorded. You do get nerves. I mean, I still get nerves now. You know what I mean? But that's a good thing. So yeah, just enjoy it. Use it as information. You can take it on board or not. It's up to you. But you will get honest, information that I found, and that's what it is. If I find something saying A is A, I'll show you. But if I find something that says A used to be an ox or a cow or a bull, I'll show you that also. And that's what
Mhm.
we're all about. We're all about having a good time, smiling, having a laugh, and learning some deep things. And that's what you'll get on the channel. When I do a premiere, the people in the chat are so really, really good.
Mhm.
I mean, I met my good friend, he's died now, he died not long ago. And I know you saw that, might have saw that video. I had to just say a thank you to his family and for knowing him. And I was crying on video. I'm not bothered. And I would never have met my friend, who was like a brother from another mother, if
Mhm.
I didn't have made videos. So although I've only experienced a little time with him because he's gone now, I'm better for it. And although I'm sad I'm missing him, I would never have met him if I didn't do this. That's why I say to people, if you want to have your own channel, go and make it. But know
Yes.
the positives and know the negatives. But you never meet people unless you get out. And that's what I say. Just enjoy it and go from there, guys. And it's just a privilege for you to have me on. And yeah, I'll come on and at any time. I don't mind, you know,
Okay.
if I'm free and I'm not doing anything, I will come on and have another chat because I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you for giving me the platform.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm just so thrilled that you were here today. You spent this time with us. I'm sure the viewers are going to love this show. And I just want to thank you so much. And I want to thank you, the viewers out there, for participating in our show, because without you, there would be no show. You
Yeah.
are why I'm here. And it's been ever so lovely. Anyway, we will catch up again next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Thank you again, Paul, and we'll see you. Hope you have the best week ever. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube, Odyssey, and Telegram channels. Like this video and share it with your friends. You can also find the Quantum Guide Show and my other podcast called Aliens and Astrology on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. That's www.forbiddenknowledge.news. And while you're at it, check out my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com, where you will find some amazing products and services and an abundance of free resources to help you with your journey. All of the links are in the description below. And in the meantime, until we see you next week, keep up the good work.
Puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play. It's okay. It's okay.